97.5, the Fanatic, Philadelphia.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. The best show ever here on 97.5, the Fanatic and NBC Sports Philadelphia. Jen, where are we?
We are live from the Stoltzfus Structures Brian Dawkins Driving Impact Celebrity Golf Tournament at Penn Oaks Golf Club in Westchester.
Let me tell you, it's a good afternoon to be here. We're going to want to talk to a lot of people. We're going to have a lot of luminaries going on. But we start with the word of the day. And the word of the day today is impact. Impact, because boy, did the Sixers take care of business last night. I see some Boston fans in the background. Boy, are they salty this afternoon as the Sixers beat the Celtics last night. Without Joel Embiid. Are you kidding me? James Harden. Now, we'll talk about a lot of people today. We'll talk about a lot of things today. But I got to start with that guy, James Harden, 45 points. He ties his playoff career high, 7 of 14 from three, and he controlled every moment of that game. It's just unbelievable how well he played. That Celtics team has issues. I said yesterday, we were all talking about it, digging out of an 0-2 hole would be basically impossible. Getting up 1-0, though, now that's very possible. Hunter Brody, how are you feeling today after the Sixers took care of their business last night?
That was so much fun to watch. It was insane. I had to text you. I'm like, Ty, this is unreal. It's beautiful to watch. Now, I listened to Doc Rivers after the game, and it was very important. He stressed that they had that week off, knowing Joel Embiid wouldn't be available, to get something right and figure it out. While the Atlanta Hawks is battling with Boston for 6 games, and they had to grind it out. That was monstrous to securing that W. You mentioned James Harden taking advantage of drop coverage. Joe Mazzulla, I'm telling you, the matchup is going to be Doc Rivers versus Joe Mazzulla, and then at the end of the game, you get Harden with a switch on Al Horford, and everyone knew that would be money. But shout out to everyone, because Paul Reed's clean at the charity stripe, 4 free throws. It was beautiful, Ricky.
That was huge. I mean, at the end of the game, that was outstanding. That big 3 by Harden with, 8 seconds left in the game. That was monstrous. I thought Doc did a great job at halftime, coming back out with a zone defense. He really messed with the Celtics a little bit. I mean, you think about a Celtics team that struggled a little bit in their first-round playoffs. All of a sudden, you have put doubt into their minds. I think that was probably the biggest key that could have happened in this first game. You have put doubt into their minds. I mean, you went at them without Joel Embiid and took them down at their home. I think that's huge. Maxey. Nobody said anything about Maxey yet. 26 points in this game. Think about his average against the Celtics all season long was only 10. Where does his confidence level go now against the Celtics? Sky high through the roof. And D'Anthony Melton. I almost messed that up, didn't I?
No, got Maxey and Melton.
D'Anthony Melton.
Tongue twisted easy.
I mean, outstanding three-point shooting. He looked pure as can be out there. He looked confident out there. And just, I mean, he looked like he wanted the basketball.
Yes.
And I think that's what I saw last night. Pretty, I wouldn't say great defense, but the second half, their defense really tightened down a little bit. Defensively in the first half, I thought they left a lot of holes underneath.
Yes. Now, we're out here at Penn Oaks for Brian Dawkins, fantastic charity golf tournament. We'll talk to everybody throughout the program today. We'll have some different people coming by to the left of Hunter today. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a good time. But you just mentioned something right there. This team is so different than the previous teams. Entering this series, what you end up with is some people that work at this radio station, some people that work in this city, some people nationally, they want to pull the whole, what about what happened the other years? The other years, this team lost in the second round, so it's going to happen automatically again. And I'd say to all of you, shut up. And the reason I say shut up is this. This is the real reason why I say shut up, is because Melton wasn't on this team in previous years. Paul Reed wasn't trusted enough to play in previous years. Maxey wasn't developed enough to play well in these particular years. And most importantly, you did not have a healthy James Harden. That makes a complete and utter difference, and you saw it last night. And I want to give credit to Kate Scott. She's not doing the games. You saw her after the game. She's out there reporting. She's traveling with the team still. I want to give her a tremendous amount of credit because after the Simmons trade, it was this whole Harden might be washed up. Look at the impact he had in that game. And I want to ask everybody in this city, I want everybody in this country, I want to ask everybody on this planet, when was the last time When was any time in which Ben Simmons in a playoff game had the impact on the game that James Harden had last night?
Never.
That's a great question.
Zero.
James Harden took control of that game, and they battled adversity, too. You look at the box score, and the Boston Celtics shot 70% from the field, and it's only a 3-point game. How about those offensive
real fast,
boards?
not to cut you off.
Go ahead.
Well, this is courtesy of Booty. He's back at NBC Sports Philadelphia. We got the whole crew out here. We thank you guys for being out here. Here is the crazy thing. They shot 90% in the first quarter, over 90%.
Wow.
Over 71% in the first half. So since 1996-97, going way back then, teams that shoot that well in the first half are 54-4. First of all, it's only happened 58 times in basketball in 27 years? 27 years. It's only happened 58 times. 54 of the time they win, and the Celtics managed to lose the game last night under those circumstances. Right there, that's the kind of thing where after the game, Jaylen Brown can say whatever he wants. He can come on after the game and go, well, you know, they played a great game and we played a mediocre game. Well, first off, the Sixers did not play a good game defensively necessarily, so they can get better there, plus they can get worse. And also, while James Harden may not go off like that, Joel Embiid is coming back. If I'm a Celtics fan right now, if I'm a Celtics player right now, I'm somewhere hiding under the covers on the bed because everybody knows that under the covers provides a layer of protection from bullets and ghosts and goblins, et cetera. Everyone knows that when you get under the covers. I'm staying in bed all day if I'm a Celtics fan because I'm scared to death. They're not going to shoot that well again. You want to know how I know they can't? Because it's impossible to shoot that well, and they still lost that basketball game. The Sixers took control of this series last night, and you mentioned Ricky. You guys have all mentioned guys that contributed. But at the end of the day, everything, the sun was James Harden. Everything revolved around him. And that version of him we haven't seen and no one's seen for a very long time.
But think about this. So this team over the years, are you telling me they would find a way to win that game after those offensive rebounds late? Al Horford's underneath the basket. I mean, we all felt awful at that time. You know what? We thought we'd sit back and go, they battled, they gave us everything we wanted, and they left it all out there on the floor, but they were shorthanded.
Yeah.
We probably thought that's where the game was trending at some point late in that fourth quarter, but that's when we go back to this team being different. They were able to overcome that, and in years past, they wouldn't.
Doc Rivers coached a hell of a game. A hell of a game. And you're right, though. This Sixers team is different than last year. The Celtics team is also different than last year.
Let me ask you something.
That's all for benefit.
Because you played at the highest of levels. Mm-hmm. You know what it's like when you miss a pitch and somebody hits it out. You know what it's like.
Yep.
Not a great feeling. But isn't the worst feeling when you throw your pitch the way you want, in the exact spot you want, and they hit it anyway?
Oh, yeah. There's no. I see where you're going with this. Is almost like the Celtics played a game that they wanted to play, and the Sixers kicked them right in the mouth.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I will tell you this much: it's demoralizing. And that whole the Celtics, I'm telling you, you saw that series before. They didn't look great in the series before.
You're right.
There was a chance that they could have lost that series in a strange way.
Yeah.
But I mean, when I look at them, I looked at a team that was beaten early in the second half. I thought they not that they lost the game early in the second half, but they looked beaten. They looked defeated, and when you get a team kind of on their heels like that, you attack them, and that's what the Sixers did.
You know, it's funny. You know, when they talk about roles in all sports, they talk about it in different ways. You know, I don't know what the coach wants from me, or I know exactly. And we know that the way this team works is it's Embiid, Harden, Maxey, Tobias. That's the order, and no one questions it. Just like we know with the good bullpens, I know they do committee. We know right now with the Phillies, Alvarado's getting the most important outs. Wherever they decide they are, Alvarado's the most reliable guy. So the bullpen guys kind of know if it's a big money time right now, Alvarado's the guy. You know the roles. Let me ask you this right now. Who's the number one on the Celtics? Because it doesn't seem like they know.
It's a fight between Brown and Jason Tatum is what it is.
And some people will say, oh, well, that's a good problem. You notice, when Miami lost, when they put together the, quote, dream team, when they lost, the thing that happened was that's when Wade and LeBron were kind of taking turns back and forth. When they figured out and won a couple championships, it's when Wade decided, you know what, LeBron's the guy, and he's Batman, I'm Robin. And I think unless the Celtics figure that out by tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, they're going to have problems the rest of this series because you saw it late in the game. And I know we have to cut, Matt. So late in the game, Maxey had not been playing a sterling game defensively. And to me, if I'm a coach, it's very simple how I draw this play up. Whoever's guard, Maxey's on the floor. Whoever he's guarding, we attack. If they don't bring help, you go all the way to the cup. If not, if they bring help, you kick it out to that player. That player will be open, and that's my shot at the end of the game. Instead, this is what happened.
Back out to Smart, ball fake, dribble move into the lane, and now back out to Tatum, 2 to shoot. Brogdon with it. Brogdon will he get up? No! He throws it to Maxey, and Darnold call it, and Maxey gets a layup. Boston had almost a 24-second shot clock violation, but they threw it right to Maxey, and Maxey dunks the ball. The Sixers have taken the lead, 114, 113.
So that's Tommy McGinnis right there. If you know who your Batman, Robin, et cetera is, that play doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. They don't have it together. And again, I don't care who your Batman is. Maxey couldn't cover Jen. What are you doing not attacking him late in the game? It doesn't make sense. And then to follow it up. So now they got the lead. Okay, some other things happen. And now you throw it to the guy. And everybody knew on the Sixers who's going to touch the ball right now. Tobias had a nice game. Maxey, as you mentioned, Ricky Bo, had a nice game. Paul Reed had made some nice foul shots. But there was no doubt on the Sixers side who was going to touch the ball. And this was the game winner.
Here comes the finale of Game 1. Harden with it. 15 seconds to go. Horford has him out top. James with a dribble. Harden one-on-one. 9 seconds on the shot clock. Harden for 3. Shot up. It's good. Harden made a triple. The Sixers go up by 2. 8 seconds to go. Boston takes time. Sixers 117. Celtics 115.
And what you're looking at right there is one team had their stuff together and another team just didn't. And now, if the Celtics don't have it together by tomorrow, Embiid or no Embiid, over the long haul, the Sixers are going to win this series because all of a sudden, one team, and you mentioned it, Jen, Doc Rivers has his soldiers in a formation, and I don't know if that Missoula guy has a clue of what's going on with his guys. So 610-632-0975. Man, we're out here. I am on a high. We still have to talk about Bryce Harper. He returns tonight. 160 days, 20-some days faster than any human being to ever return from Tommy John. So we have an alien here playing DH tonight for the Phillies. We won't get the lineup tonight, but we'll talk to Ricky Bo about what his lineup will be. We have a lot to get to. We've seen a lot of famous, nice people out here around these, around the grounds. We're going to have some of them on throughout the day. We are live from the Stoltzfus Structures Brian Dawkins Driving Impact Celebrity Golf Tournament at Penn Oaks Golf Club in Westchester. And we'll be back here on 97.5 The Fanatic, NBC Sports, Philadelphia. And now time to start our Twitter poll with Jen Scordo. Hello, Jen.
Hello there. Do we see more of Houston Harden in this series? You can answer yes or no. Early votes right now have no at 20% and yes at 80%.
Yeah, that's
who are you 20 people? Who are those 20%?
Let me tell you something. It was like that had been dormant. And it's kind of like, you know what this kind of reminds me of? And just follow me on this metaphor. It's only a metaphor. All right. Does anybody know a girl that when you guys were in high school and college, she might have been a little bit in the streets, a little bit in the streets, maybe a lot in the streets.
Okay.
Then she gets married and she calms down. Maybe she becomes a mother and she's calm. And then all of a sudden she gets divorced. And you see her out. And all of a sudden, she's reverted back to her old ways.
Uh-oh.
I think that's what we have right now with James Harden. He's had the divorce, and he's back in them streets once again. And I think that's what we're going to see. And I think it takes a little bit of time once they're out the cage to get them back in the cage. It's not just a one-night type of thing. It might be a 1 week, maybe a 1 month, but it's not going to be one day.
That's a great point. See, when I saw him go out in Vegas, a lot of fans were nervous. I thought, here we go. Here's a 45-point performance because that's just what he does. That's when he's
back
in his
in
element.
Them streets.
Exactly.
Back in them streets.
Exactly. That's what it felt like. By the way, do you remember when there were a lot of people upset that they gave up Andre Drummond. And Seth Curry? Come on. What are we doing, people? You got a star. You got a star who can deliver on the biggest stage. What he did yesterday makes no sense. I'm still laughing because as soon as I saw the switch on Al Horford, I automatically knew. Like, it was going to be the game right then and there.
And what did he have going into half? Like 20 points, right? 20-something, maybe going into in halftime. And
yeah.
I'm sitting on my couch by myself, and I said out loud, oh, well, he's on pace for 40. He probably won't get that, but he's on pace for it.
I don't know. He took over the game. That's what you want from your superstars, to just flat out take over a game. He took over the game. A lot of people can say what they want, but he was a superstar a long time ago, and I think a lot of fans may think that, well, he's getting old, that he doesn't have it in him anymore. I think he proved a lot of people wrong last night.
Yes, he did.
You're absolutely right. He had an impact on the game. He had an impact on the situation in a real way. And if you watch the game closely, or not even that closely, you know that everything the Sixers did was based around what he did. So when he's slowing the pace down, first of all, how many guys with Embiid out do you really trust to create offense? Now, you trust Melton to make a shot, but you don't necessarily trust him to create the shot. Maxey, against this defense, is not as much of a creator as he is against other teams. Tobias isn't really a creator of offense. You don't really have a backup point guard on your roster. The person who has to create the offense, at the end of the day, it's Harden. He's the guy. The only other guy who really does it is Embiid, who's improved as a passer, and he draws so much attention. So with Embiid out, that guy had to control the game in a way that we haven't seen at all since he's been here. We saw it in Houston, but we never saw it here at this level where everything they're doing on offense is because of what that guy does.
Well, it puts it in perspective on how injured he was last season.
Yeah.
He knew the hamstring was hindering him, and he couldn't beat defenders, and there were a lot of issues. But now you see him fully healthy, and it's a completely different monster. But, you just look at the way that this team – and I got to be honest with you. I'm going to say it. I think Joe Mazzulla stinks. I really do. I think he's overwhelmed.
You said that a couple days ago.
Yeah, the drop coverage. I thought it was so obvious what James Harden was doing to expose their defense, and he really didn't do anything about it all game long. I'm fascinated to see what counters he comes up with in his head when we see tomorrow night. Because
everybody's
I don't know
forgetting
what
about
he's gonna
P.J.
do.
Tucker.
Or
How about the
Tobias.
bull?
Talk about him. Talk about him.
How about the picks he was dropping on everybody? He was a bull in a china shop, and he knew from the get-go that the refs were letting it go. He was just going to take out everybody. I thought he did a spectacular job.
I want to add to that. There's a lot of clips being thrown around social media, him talking to Paul Reed.
Oh, yeah.
Just the way he leads this team. And good for Paul Reed for just taking it and going out and doing his thing afterwards. But, yeah, we also have to acknowledge Tobias Harris. He played 42 minutes yesterday of a 48-minute basketball game. Not everything was perfect, but the three at the top of the key was from that James Harden pass.
But to that point, Harden drives everybody in. Horford is under the basket, and then he has to try to recover all the way back to the three-point line. There's no hope a man of that age can do it.
And when you think about all these people that were saying, oh, he's no good, he can't get it done, he's not the answer with Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
I think those questions were answered last night, and I will tell you right now, I was in a room with a bunch of people, and there were a bunch.
Yeah, you were.
I would say there were a handful of the naysayers, the people that didn't believe. I'll tell you what, they believe right now because I saw the reactions of everybody in that room. And in my opinion, it's just one of those things where everybody feels like something was lifted off last night, and everybody wants a piece of this team right now. I get a call this morning from my daughter, Olivia. I want tickets, Dad. You got to get me tickets.
Did you get them?
I just found out just now. She wanted tickets. I'll work on it.
That's a tough ticket.
She's getting those tickets.
Yeah, but
she's watching the show right now.
We get paid Friday, Ricky.
I know.
Oh,
it might be the whole
they're going to hit you up.
Yeah, we get paid Friday, Ricky. But, yeah, it's just 610-632-0975. To me, what it's about is just when you watch and you understand how important. It's weird. It's like when they talk about max players. You see, max players, you have to pay a lot of players max sometimes just to not lose them. Like, the Sixers may end up being a situation where you have to pay Maxey to max. And this is no disrespect to him. What I'm saying is guys like Embiid, guys like Harden, guys like Jimmy Butler, guys like Curry, there are certain guys where they dictate what everyone else does, and the other team spends 99% of their time worried about that guy, and everyone else gets worried about way less. And they end up being more beneficiaries than creators.
And it's also about stepping up in that one brightest spot. And I think for Harden, that was the biggest spot we've seen him in with the Sixers. And he stepped up, and healthy, I should say.
Yeah, healthy.
He stepped up huge. You think about Curry the other night. How about that? 50 points in a Game 7. That's what you get from your superstars. Harden's up there. I'm sorry. He's up there.
Yeah, now, we'll find out. He did have a lot of time off. People will make that argument. The haters will say, oh, well, he had a lot of time off. Well, so, listen, that's not – he earned that time off.
Yeah.
He wasn't gifted that time off. They're undefeated in the playoffs. Had the Celtics took care of their business, they would have had that same time off. But they didn't.
Nope.
The Celtics are a
They
beatable
didn't.
bunch. They really are. Now, I know the regular season isn't everything, and,
Yeah.
you have your ups and downs. You have your second half to back-to-backs, and, you have losses you shouldn't have. But if you look at their record against teams when they're missing a star, they lost to Murray in the Atlanta.
Horrible.
In the Atlanta series. Murray was gone. They lost that game. They got blown out. They allowed 150 points to OKC without SGA. There's so many examples of losing to Bradley Beal and no Kuzma. No Beal, no Kuzma, you lose to the Wizards. It shouldn't happen as much as it does for a group that has the thought of
Are they
to win a title.
confused? Are they
Maybe.
confused?
It might-
Because
it might go
maybe
back
they
and
had
win.
this game plan for Joel Embiid to be out there. All of a sudden, he's not out there. You got guys running around like ants after food. That's what it looked like.
It's that, and the other part is their whole thing is we don't double people. We just play everybody man to man. Embiid will have to score, blah, blah. These other guys won't beat him. Well, in this particular
They beat
case, those other guys did do it. So let's talk to Greg from Bethlehem. We'll go to the phones, 610-632-0975. Greg, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Greg?
Hey, guys. I think we know why we got James Harden last night.
Yeah, we did.
There were some people that had doubts, but, a healthy Harden, it must be an incredible feeling to be in the zone like he was. He was in the zone, and he knew he could beat his guy and get a shot up, and it was money.
It was.
And the other thing was Maxey broke through his glass ceiling before, that he's had with the Celtics. I mean, he's had a problem dealing with them up there in the past. So, I mean, with those two guys working like they were, it was fun to see.
It really was. The Maxey thing you got to watch.
Long term, he's got to hit the weight room.
Yeah. Well, the Maxey thing you got to watch because of the defensive end. That's another reason why Missoula's a terrible coach. The last play of the game, or the play where we played in the first segment where they had the 24-second shot clock violation. Why wasn't the play to attack whoever Maxey was guarding?
Yeah.
He had 5 fouls.
Like, he has 5 fouls in that spot. He's likely to let the guy go. There definitely would be help. And in a 2-point game, you will get a wide-open 3. And rather than do that, they play hot potato. Like, as a Sixers fan, and thanks for the call, Greg, as a Sixers fan, I was overjoyed. As a basketball man, as a sportsman, I was disgusted. I was half elated, half wanting to puke, because that is terrible coaching. That is terrible coaching.
I've been trying to tell you that matchup is huge.
If I'm coaching AAU and I see Maxey on the side, I go, all right, well, Maxey's about to score 100. But my best player is going to have to attack that guy because that's my only hope. And how the Celtics don't know to do that in an important spot, that's coaching malpractice. And I don't think that gets fixed. I don't think you get better, not that guy, in 2 days. Now, maybe he'll grow into be a great coach. I don't know what it was like for Pat Riley the first time he's in the playoffs if he didn't have Magic Johnson and Kareem. Like, it might have been a lot tougher. He doesn't have those guys. But I'll say this. What they did last night, Celtics-wise, shows vulnerability. I'm not saying the Sixers are going to sweep, although I will say this. They haven't lost yet so far in the playoffs. No one has proven that they're human. They haven't bled yet, so you're going to have to prove to me that somebody can beat them until I believe it. But I will say Doc Rivers isn't just a better coach. He's way better.
With Doc, though, I thought with the short-handed big man staff, if you will, that there was no doubt in my mind that we'd see Montrezl Harrell at some point.
With the post-up.
With the post-ups or Deadman. But no, he stays true to going small ball with PJ. He slipped George Niang in there for about 13 minutes.
Not a good move.
He made a shot. I think you're very limited in options here, so there's not much to go to with your alternative. I'm just saying, we didn't see Harrell. We didn't see Deadman. This is Doc Rivers coaching a phenomenal basketball game right now. That's what it was. That's what we saw. He's got his fingerprints all over this, and Sixers fans should feel comfortable with that. You hear me?
Comfortable
You should
with that.
feel comfortable with Doc Rivers pushing the buttons.
Wow.
That's
I
right.
agree. I agree with
That's
you.
right.
Doc.
He's a damn good coach.
Everybody loved during the season to blame him for every loss. How about giving him some credit for a big win?
That's an excellent point. And who would have thought For all those years where people were saying, you got to name him Glenn and blah, 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 who would have thought that a couple years later, he's the only Doc we've ever had in this city. The other guy is Mister. The hater, you know he was somewhere rooting for the Sixers hard. They won without Embiid. Doc had a bottle of champagne. He popped the bottle. He was in there so happy. He poured it on people. They won without Embiid. I told you I hate him. Like, I'm telling you, he is somewhere upset. But Doc Rivers, the only Doc I acknowledge. I don't even acknowledge. I believe when Bugs Bunny says, "What's up, Doc?" He's talking about Doc Rivers. When he comes out of there, when he made the wrong turn at Albuquerque, he's talking about Doc Rivers, not just a euphemism for a person.
That's fair.
That's what I believe. That's how sure I am and how much I believe in Doc Rivers.
He just made adjustments. I mean, I thought it was pretty obvious last night. He makes a defensive adjustment. Celtics had no answer. So where do you throw the blame and who do you give credit to? It's that simple.
My wife did hear.
I told you
by the way,
listening.
talk about a sneaker drop. How about those over there?
Yeah.
What is that all about?
The green Air Force.
Those are green Celtics shoes.
No, those are not. No, I associate that more with Eagles.
Yeah, those are more Eagles. We'll discuss with her during the next commercial break.
Yes, we will.
We will discuss those
very
with her
Celtic-ish.
I don't believe they are. And if they are, we'll politely
Recency
ask her
bias.
Yeah, we'll politely ask her to leave.
Oh.
No, you can't be around here with that kind of stuff. Now, I know inevitably people are going to want to talk about, well, what's it going to look like going forward? And we'll discuss that. What I think you have to realize is there is no true answer to how it's going to look because the Celtics are going to try to make some form of adjustment. That doesn't mean it's going to be an effective adjustment, but they're going to do something differently. So that's the other part going forward. But what we do know is that Maxi's no longer afraid, and Harden is balling. So you have a much better shot than you thought you did before the series started.
But how do they make an adjustment? They don't know what's going on. We don't know if Embiid's playing. I'm sure they don't know if Embiid's going to play. So how do you make an adjustment? It could be just a shock. You know, game time comes up in game 2. All of a sudden, a shock to the Celtics. They're game 1. How would they adjust in game 2?
What I think I would do if I'm Joe Mazzulla, but I don't know if Joe Mazzulla has his head on
to
straight.
double hard and get the ball out of his hands?
Especially this pick-and-roll defense, you have to change what you did in game 1. Whether Embiid's there or not, let's say Embiid's not there, you got to find a way to do something better when James Harden attacks that drop coverage.
Yeah.
That's where it starts.
And then hopefully that leads to Paul Reed being able to do more. We'll find out. Because as he comes forward, that means that there should be no one in the paint like that, so that should make a difference. So
and that worked with James Harden with Clint Capella in Houston.
Got him $20 million a year.
Exactly.
Got him $20 million a year.
And I think Paul Reed
got his mama's mama a house, and then his kids a house.
Right.
All based on James Harden doing that.
Clint Capella. Come on, he doesn't deserve that bag.
Up where everybody lives. Let's go back to the folks. Jack in Clearwater talking about Harden. You're on 97.5 The Fanatic. Hello, Jack.
Hey, guys. Love the show.
Thank you.
Listen, just riding high, say it, the Sixers win. Awesome game by Harden, no doubt. But watching the game last night going in, I was hopeful for a Sixers win, but wasn't sure. But they really did answer. Every time the Celtics went on a little bit of run, the Sixers answered back and kept it within like a 3 or 5 point difference. And that really was kind of giving me hope throughout the whole game, keeping it that close. And I talked to my buddy and I said to him, you know what? It's going to come down to who has the ball last. And it did. And I just want to say also, the whole team that they contributed. Paul Reed driving the lane, even Shake setting some picks out on top. I mean, just an all-around contribution from the whole team yesterday.
It was an all-around thing, but 90% of it was hard.
Oh, absolutely.
90% of it was hard.
You hit on something important, though, that Doc Rivers was saying, and that you got to keep it within striking distance. And this locker room knows if it's the fourth quarter and we are in range, they will go out there determined to win the basketball game. And you did not have that mental makeup in previous locker rooms, probably because of the fraudulent Benjamin Simmons.
I like that the Sixers kept stepping back up. I think that just there was perseverance there. There was a little push from the Sixers back. That's what you like to see, especially in a game where you're undermanned. If you think about it, the Celtics had 3 or 4 opportunities in each, or one in each of the first 3 quarters to kind of push the lead into that area where, okay, the Sixers might not have a chance. And what would happen? Boom, a 6-0 run right back at you. I think that just shows me that there's no quit at all in this.
The timing of Melton's shots were very massive. The timing of those threes where, Boston, the crowd, they're starting to form some positivity, and then here's a 3 just to keep it a 5-point game instead of an 8-point game. I'm just using random numbers, but that's sort of how it felt during the game is, Melton was there, and he stopped the bleeding just enough to keep the Sixers involved, and then from there they made more plays.
So you're using random numbers, and you pick 5 and 8. If you're going to use random numbers, couldn't you have picked like 13.6? I'm just saying, if you pick random numbers, I feel like that's a more fun number.
I could have. There's a lot going on.
Much more specific.
I'll tell you what, watching the game, watching the ball come out of Melton's hands, that was impressive to me. He just looked like a big-time shooter.
He did. He's very comfortable stepping into the shot. And you brought up that Ben Simmons thing.
Sorry.
Is it my fault? Is it his fault or whatever? Is it bad by me that I now think less of the entire continent? I respect kangaroos less because of him.
What about sharks?
I don't respect them at all.
Big ass spiders they have.
Them spiders, don't respect them.
I have a follow-up.
I also no longer say when he says that's not a knife, this is a knife. I feel like you know what? Shut up, Crocodile Dundee. I don't respect Crocodile Dundee as much.
That's disrespectful.
I don't respect any of Nicole Kidman as much. I don't respect that fraud Keith Urban. I didn't respect him before. I didn't like him before. I tell you what, I don't. There's a lot of people I don't respect because of him.
Well, let me ask you this. Here's my follow-up. How much did Matisse Thybulle add to this, or is it strictly just a Ben thing?
Now, Thybulle, now that you bring him up, it makes me think that the whole continent is lazy because he never worked on his game. But he smiled real nice, and we all like that. I think less of the continent due to those two people. Like, it's no longer like I don't want to go to the Australian Open for tennis. I used to think that would be a nice bucket list thing. Why would I want to go there? It's a country full of Thybulles and Simmons.
You make an excellent point now, because Keith Urban, if you want to say the smile with Matisse Thybulle, okay, that's his thing, right? Keith Urban's got the lettuce. He's got the hair. That's his thing. They have these intangibles.
Whoa. We're about to get back to the first one. Whoa.
I'm just saying, he's got some nice flow.
He does.
He does. That's his main thing?
That's his thing.
I thought his main thing was the singing country music.
Well, it's really actually playing guitar.
When did his thing become hair? I thought his main thing was the whole singing country music.
Well, it goes like this, right? Like, what do I bring to the table? It's the sports talk radio knowledge, but you add the hair with it. It's
just the man bun.
It's the man bun, I think. I think man bun first.
You got the order wrong, just like you did with Keith Urban.
I disagree.
You're a man
bun first,
then sports radio's down here.
Well, I think
we like your sports radio. We love the man bun.
I think it's a little closer to both just being elite at the top of the I'm just saying.
What does Broads think?
Well, I'll have to ask the wife.
What does Broads
That was a hypothetical Broads right there.
No, there's no hypothetical.
What does Broads think?
Well, I think she thinks a lot of things that I don't want to repeat on the air.
That's not great.
Elizabeth did text me too, by the way. Yeah. No more sneakers until you get more sneaker storage, she said.
Oh, well, then just buy sneaker storage and then you're good to go.
What are you waiting on?
No.
California closets.
I'm going to chill. Okay, the only reason I bought those off-whites was solely because, rest in peace, Virgil.
Okay.
I had to get the off-whites.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I did the same thing.
That was the only reason I got those. You already had them.
Yes, mine's the black pair. You got the green pair. I like the green pair more.
Well, rest in peace all the cows that they're making the sneakers from.
I got to chill.
You got to get these.
I got to chill on wearing those, though. I won't wear them until after the Celtics series is over.
I get you.
I'm going to be walking around wearing green.
That's fair.
Smart.
Yeah. All right, let's go back to the foes. Kevin in Wilmington, I believe Delaware, but it could have been North Carolina. You're on 97.5 The Fanatic. Hello, Kevin.
Not so far away, though.
Oh, what's going on, Kevin? How you doing?
How you guys doing? Listen, I just wanted to say that there was precision. It was excellent precision. Those guys had it going on all game long. I have no doubt in my mind when the big boy comes back, it's going to be a terrible thing. It's going to be a terrible thing. And I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it at all. I have all the confidence in the world in these guys.
You know, they proved a lot. They go on the road. they take care of business. And the other part is, even if you believe that the Celtics are going to win game 2, if you believe that, I'm conceding nothing to them. It now guarantees a distant series, which is also advantage Sixers because they're the much more rested team. And say what you want about this injury, Embiid getting more rest, as soon as he gets back in the fold, it may end up being a blessing in the long run because the goal is no longer just getting out of the second round. The way things have fallen, where you don't have to face the Bucks, and with the West just not being that good, the goal right now on May 2nd should be win the title.
Right.
So we're playing in June. That's what our plan is.
My question is, do you feel even more confident even if they drop one and just split?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. If they were to lose game 2, you're still in good shape. And once they give that MVP to Embiid, the first game he plays in Philadelphia, the crowd is already maybe the best crowd we've ever seen in sports. I think the Sixers crowd has even surpassed the Eagles crowd in some way. The way that with the volume and the fervor that they follow games, then I think it's going to just get taken to an even higher level. And there's a good chance that they'll now be, based on what happened yesterday, they're up 3-1 at worst. Thanks for the call, Kevin. I would not be at all shocked if they go take care of business. Even if they split, then win 3 and 4, it's 3-1 going into game 5. Let's say you give it 6 and 6 now feels to me almost likely versus before it was a hope.
In regards to how you should feel if they split in Boston, if they lose game 2, then I'll say you did your job. Your job was to split, come home, take back home court advantage.
That's right.
But for right now, I'm in attack mode. We can't take this with a leisure approach and think, well, let's buy more time for Embiid since we can. If Embiid can play, I want him to be out there on the floor so you can attack the Celtics. You can't take anything for granted and go win game 2. So now you're going back to Philadelphia up 2-0 with a chance to sweep on your home floor. That's my approach now. I will easily admit that as soon as I see what happens in game 2, if they do fall shorthanded, it is what it is. I'm still proud and they did their job. But for right now, you have to keep the killer eyes going and try and snag their soul.
It really comes down to don't just show up for the game tomorrow. I think it's hey, take your chances. You're playing. This is house money. You've already won that first game, but don't go into it like that. Go into it like it's almost a must-win game and see how it plays out. You lose that game, okay, we split up there, then we go home. But don't take it as we're just going to show up and whatever happens, happens.
Have you guys ever been to a buffet? Oh, go ahead, Jim.
No, sorry. If Embiid wins MVP tonight, does he play?
I don't
tomorrow?
think he wins MVP and sits out.
I don't know. I honestly don't have a feel on this because Doc Rivers spoke today, and he's playing the game of he's going to go through some limited workout stuff and whatnot, but it seems like maybe he's playing the card of they're doubtful, and maybe he's doing that on purpose to play a mental game with Boston. I can't get a read on what's happening.
I can't either.
Okay.